Gary Lineker situation. We're going to talk now to Aaqil Ahmed, former BBC executive, because Gary Lineker and the BBC have finally come to an arrangement whereby he's going to leave at the end of this season, which of course is about May of next year. He will no longer present Match of the Day. He will hang around to do some World Cup type activities. But obviously they have come to the end of a very long road. He's been presenting Match of the Day for about 25 years. Aaqil, very good morning to you.
Morning.
I wonder if you've been hearing anything from inside of your mates still at the BBC as to how this all kind of came down. The sense I get is that the head of sport just didn't like him.
Well, I think, I don't know anything more than just a bit of gossip here and there, but the ultimate thing is when they've got a new head of sport, he's come from outside the BBC, and having been in that position myself, when you come in from outside to an organisation, you want to set your, you want to set your stall out, don't you? And I'm sure that's what he's done. Look, Gary's been there, it'll be 25 years by the time he's presenting.
Yeah, a long time.
Nothing lasts forever. I mean, quite frankly, that's a long run, 25 years. And I watch Match of the Day. I'm a bit of a fan. I will say this, Mike. In my opinion, as a presenter, I think it's going to be massive shoes to fill. Because if we could have a conversation now about who's going to be the next presenter of Match of the Day, it's not going to be somebody of that calibre. It's going to be someone that's going to have to gain that kind of status, and they will do over time. But I think that look, just reading between the lines, what's happened is actually it's been a difficult few years. You've got a new boss who's come in. He wants to set his kind of like stall out. There's only one show you can really set your stall out on. That's Match of the Day, let's be honest. Yeah. Because World Cup, Olympics, they come around every few years. It's not the same as a week in, week out kind of show. Right. And this is his moment. But I think you're right. There's no getting around it. It's been difficult for the BBC and for Gary Lineker for a couple of years. And I think this is probably about the right time.
I suspect
it feels about the right time. Yeah,
I suspect that everyone's going to be heaving a huge sigh of relief, really, because
and I think even Lineker as well.
Lineker can maybe go off and do whatever he wants to do. He doesn't have to give up working. He can do many things. I mean, the fact is though that he does. I mean, there are other people that have done the show. There are other people that cover for him. And when there's a midweek Match of the Day, he doesn't always do it. I mean, there's a couple of names already in the frame for it, of course. Yeah. But it just seems to me that he kind of wrote his way or tweeted his way out of a job at the end of the day.
I'm not sure about that, Taitra. I think that was a complicated thing because he's not a new. He doesn't work full time for the BBC. He doesn't. He's not.
But he was poking the bear. I mean, every time he did it, he was.
He knew what he was doing. He's very clever. He's very clever, Gary. He's not thick. He knew what he was doing, of course. Yeah, but he felt very strongly about it. What this will do, I think, what we'll do, as you said, we could use the word set free. We could also look at from the point of view of, Gary, 65 at some point in the next year or two. He's not going to be. There comes a point when you've got to refresh things anyway, because for a younger audience, you must remember as well, for a younger audience that's watching Match of the Day, and that young audience, Mike, now is like late 20s as well. Right. They never saw Gary play, did they?
No, they don't know who he is. Effectively, they think of him as.
So you have to refresh it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember though if you're a football fan and you watch Match of the Day, we all thought Des Lynam would be irreplaceable, didn't we?
Absolutely.
We all thought it.
I thought Jimmy Hill. I thought Jimmy Hill was irreplaceable.
I was waiting for Jimmy Hill to be replaced. Quite frankly, I was never a fan. But Des Lynam, we all fell in love with. We can all remember some of his quotes, etc. I think the time is the right time, and I also think for Gary as well. When you get to a certain age as well, you may not want to be doing it every week. I'm sure he does want to do it, but at some point you want to do other things. He's got his own business. He's very successful in business.
Oh yeah, no, he's making an absolute fortune. Listen, we got to knock it on the head, Aaqil, because we're near the end of the show. Aaqil Ahmed, thank you very much indeed, former BBC executive. We just